most of you are working, and we're not going to put a problem on that. Okay, but please try to check the recorded sessions that we're going to do, and to catch up and be involved on the teamwork. Okay. Now that Zaina said that, we're going to keep an eye on Zaina and make sure that she's doing her best. And Marilyn, I'm not sure you have your hand up. You still have another question? Yeah, I think that was it. Okay, I'm going to give you just 1 minute maybe, or less, 30 seconds, to see if you have any other question before we introduce our first guest speaker today. Yes, we have a question over here. Sorry, when will we have the instruction for the presentations? You're gonna have them. Well, you can check you can find it on the course model, but also today we're gonna have the very first activity with Saurabh at it's gonna end at maybe at 8. We're gonna have it. Give me 1 second. I mixed up the timings. Yes, it's gonna be from 8 till 8:30. Hopefully, we're gonna have the first instructions and another link that we're gonna send you. Sorry, from 7:30. Yes. Okay, so should I introduce then? Over here, my colleague Olga Correa already gave you the link for you to check it, put it, save it on your favorites, and there you can find the course for the meetup week. Let us know if you managed to do it. Okay? Let's see. Okay, so let's start then our first talk of the day. Our keynote speaker is Carlos de Sentís. Okay, he is over here. He is the founder and CEO of the World Innovation Alliance. He is also the board member of the International Development and Global Innovation Fund at the World Humanitarian Forum. He is a social entrepreneur, a consultant, and lecturer in innovation, education, communication, social impact, and international relations with 14 years of experience. He does amazing things, and he can tell us a little bit more about himself. Welcome, Carlos. The floor is yours. And I'm gonna send you the link in 1 second.
Thank you so much, Ahmad, and thank you all for being here. It is a great honor and a great privilege to collaborate with EU University and the business school that you have that's doing a remarkable job. I am very happy to participate, especially because I know the incredible level of the participants, and I am going to probably be able to learn more from you than what you learn from me. And what I'm gonna try to do is actually establish a relationship with you guys, because today we have 30 minutes. I'm going to do my best to provide some value, but the idea is that from now on we're together, that we can continue growing together, and that we can collaborate in some projects. I was told by John Hans that it happens to be the first boss that I have had in 10 years, because since I started my business, I have been independent, but now here at EU Business School and at the World Humanitarian Forum, John Hans is my boss, and he told me that he wanted me to talk about my story, about what do we do, why do we do it, how has been this journey. And quite honestly, I don't think the most important and most interesting thing I can do today is share my story, but he's the boss, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and then we'll jump right to the future of work, and I will share some ideas that I believe can be valuable, and hopefully we have time for Q&A. And if you have questions, please start asking them, start putting them on the comments, and I will do my best to spend as much as possible with that as well, okay? So the first thing is that I am incredibly grateful for the life that I've had and the life that I have and all the opportunities. I think that a lot of us are very lucky. We have had the opportunity to have not only a healthy life, but also a safe life without any conflict around us. And quite frankly, knowing that there's more than 2 billion people that live in extreme poverty right now, there's 40 wars being fought, there's so many violence, so many conflicts and so much violence in the world that, I just feel incredibly fortunate to be alive and to have different platforms to try to help others and try to do something that has some meaning. So I started my career as a journalist working on international relations and then on technology. And that allowed me to see all these problems that are happening in the world, but also some of the solutions for those problems. And I realized very early on, not only that I had to be incredibly grateful for the example that my father has set on me, for the beautiful things that we can all enjoy in today's world, but also to understand that my time is limited, that I have to do my best to try to make the most out of my life, try to fulfill my potential and try to help as many people as I can, right? And so since I was 18 years old up to now that I'm 32, I've been trying to improve as a human being, as a son, as a friend, as a professional, and I'm still very, very far away from being perfect, but I am trying to improve constantly, and I always try to look for what I can do to try to maximize the impact that I generate in the world. So my career has been focused on consulting. I have helped or worked for more than 100 companies, institutions from different countries. We have worked in different sectors. We have done projects that have allowed us to experience different services, different cultures. And we have also learned a lot from all these different initiatives. And for me, it has always been a race to try to fill the gap of all the knowledge that I don't have, all the things that I don't know how to do, because what I want to do is to be in a position where I can actually help a lot of people to improve their lives. But the problem is that when I started my career, I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship, about sales, about communication, about public relations. I didn't know anything about how to grow a brand or how to develop your career for that matter. So it has been very difficult for me to realize the potential that anyone has actually to create something that is unique, right? And to do something that is different, that is innovative, but that can also provide a lot of value. And I didn't know that. So I have spent forever to get to this situation where we're at right now, where we are launching the World Innovation Alliance. I've been working on it for 13 hours a day, 3 years already, and we haven't launched yet. We're going to launch now. And we have different divisions, but the goal is try to maximize impact, try to help companies, institutions, and individuals to make the biggest positive impact in a way that is profitable, helping people to find that space that exists, because a lot of people think that or you make money or you help others, but the reality is that there's a huge space in between of for-profit social impact. That is what we advocate for, because we really believe in the power of an impact economy where the main focus of businesses is to actually solve a problem that helps society, that helps the world, but also has the benefit that is needed for the different stakeholders. So that is the main goal and aspiration. We want to help solving problems. And we have, on the one side, the consulting business that helps with innovation, technology, and impact models. We have developed more than 50 impact maximization models. I will tell you a little bit about it later. Secondly, we have a network of remarkable experts and leaders from more than 150 different countries. There's already 1,000 people that are experts in AI, in finance, in engineering. You have doctors, you have people that work in SAP or Amazon, Google, Mastercard, governments. And it is just remarkable to see the diversity of the people that we have in the network, because we have from girl climate activist from India, 9 years old. She has spoken 6 times in TED already. We have people that are already retired, but are experts in the military. You have people that have worked in the CIA. We have people that are creating social impact projects to give prosthetics to people that don't have limbs. It is something beautiful to see. And quite honestly, it's the most the thing that makes the proudest of my life, basically, because we can collaborate with people that we admire, and together we can actually create a bigger impact. So the whole focus is to help each other, but more importantly, how can we collaborate in a way that is effective to create a larger positive impact? How can we find and apply specific scalable solutions in problems of healthcare, environment, poverty, human rights, or education? The other side that we have is the advocacy. So we curate solutions, we design different proposals and reform and policy initiatives, and then we present it to governments and corporations. We believe in the potential of all these organizations to create a larger impact and also to better leverage their resources. Many times they have a large number of employees, they have big communities, they are incredibly influential, let alone the budget that some of them have. But many times it's difficult for them to actually use it in a way that is optimal, and also finding the right strategy to actually help more people while they're benefiting their stakeholders. So we do that advocacy because we believe that if they know these solutions and we help them to implement them, then we can have a massive impact. Because of course we are very small, but these organizations, some of them have 1 billion users. So of course, if we are able to actually influence positively the way that we connect with the audience, the way we connect with users, the way we connect with citizens, and we enable them to become a part of the solution for global problems, then everything is going to advance way faster. Because we see the model of public-private collaboration where normally everybody's waiting for the other side to provide the funds, and you see how the public sector expects the private to do that and to execute. The private sector expects the public to do everything, and then there's a lot of committees and no one executes anything. And also, many times the problem is that everybody talks about action, and then what they do is they organize an event to talk about action, and they do a paper to talk about the action that should be done, and then no one is actually executing. So our model is to have or become, with the collaboration with different organizations, become an executive branch so we can execute with very specific KPIs projects with the support of the public and the private sectors. But we don't expect anyone to do anything. Basically, we do everything that requires execution, but we try to get as much support as possible from all types of stakeholders. So that is what we do in terms of advocacy and project execution. We have many pilot programs, and what we're going to do is try to implement as many as we can in a way that we can demonstrate and make the case that these solutions that we propose can have a massive impact if we scale them. And lastly, we are building Improve OS, which is the tech startup, the platform that we have to actually enable everyone to be a part of the solution. Because we have realized that there's millions of people, and probably just like you, that want to be a part of the solution for the SDGs, but they don't know what they can do, they don't know how to do it, or they don't have the right incentives to do so. So what we're trying to do is to basically empower everyone, knowing that every single person, no matter how young, no matter what the field is, no matter the expertise, everyone can be valuable to find those solutions or to implement those solutions. But we need to find the way to align interests, and we need to provide benefits and rewards and try to see what is the best way to incentivize everyone. So what we do is we break down big problems into smaller tasks, and then we crowdsource them to people all over the world. And we provide incentives and rewards, sometimes economic, sometimes they're not going to be economic, but they can be recognitions and help for career growth, connections that can be valuable, and everything that we can, so it is as attractive as possible to participate in those solutions. So that is what we are building, and that's why it has taken so long, because we wanted to make sure that when we launched, that everything was ready, that we were going to be able to actually provide a lot of value with our solutions. And now what we're going to do is just spend the rest of at least my career, which hopefully is, let's say, 30, 40 more years, just working on this. Because what we have created is an umbrella project with a very long-term strategy that basically enables every type of stakeholder to participate, so we can maximize the impact that we create, and we can maximize the upside for everyone. Now, that is about us. And what is most important is that we talk about the future of work and some of the keys that can allow us to thrive in this new economy. And I would start by saying that the most important thing that we have to understand and deal with is the fact that everything is changing faster than ever, that change is accelerating, and that we're going to experience more change in the coming 20 years than in the last more than 100. We see that 50% of jobs are going to change. 2 billion people are going to need reskilling or upskilling constantly to catch up with the market. We see that most people are not ready for all those changes, and we have not spent enough time thinking about what can we do to train people in order to be ready to adapt constantly to new changes. We need to be resourceful. We need to be able to adapt to any change instead of trying to focus on just one specialization that maybe is going to be better executed by AI, by whatever technology. So I wanted to talk a little bit about technology. I will go directly to keys for career growth and strategies that can help you in the future of work. And then hopefully we'll have some time for questions. I think, yeah, we still have 20 minutes. So please do ask questions if you have them, and I will read them as soon as I finish. So for the future of work, there's going to be a lot of change and a lot of disruption based on the fact that not only do we have COVID and the economic crisis that is coming, all the social, political, and economic changes that are happening, but we also have the convergence of new technologies. We are seeing now how most of these new technologies would have been able to change the entire world alone. So for example, when you think of what the telephone did, or with the television, or what the internet has done in our lives, how it has changed everything, then you can think that obviously now the changes that are coming are going to be similar but faster. Now the problem is that now we have a convergence of dozens of new technologies, and each one of them is absolutely massive in terms of the effect that it can have. For example, you have IoT, 5G, robotics, 3D printing, AI, and everything in machine learning that is absolutely fascinating, but it's at the same time scary because of the level of change that is going to generate. We have so many new technologies that could disrupt every field that we have to be ready for constant change. And in order to adapt to that change, if we don't know what these technologies do, if we don't know about the implications of these technologies, if we don't know the risks and the opportunities, we're going to be in trouble. So the first recommendation would be to spend as much time as possible trying to understand these new technologies. I don't know how much you know about blockchain and NFTs and smart contracts. I don't know if you follow different sources of information that can allow you to be up to date with what's happening in AI or robotics. Because the world is not only changing fast, but also there are countries and there are spaces where these new technologies are being implemented incredibly fast, and they're changing entire industries. And I can give you examples, for example, of what's going on in China right now. You have hotels that are completely automated. You have hospitals where robots are delivering, for example, meals to patients because they want to avoid contact to avoid the transmission of COVID. You have drones that are doing incredibly beautiful displays and very complicated choreographies in the skies. You have holograms already in the streets. You have 3D screens in the streets. And even in, for example, a TV show, they had, in order to carry some of the production items, they would have robots that are just going around the TV station to help people, right? And so that is happening really fast there in China, but also you see autonomous vehicles already being implemented and deployed in, for example, in Brazil and in the US, and there's so much more. That is not to mention, of course, fintech. And I would be very happy to talk about this forever, but I would just leave you with the headline, which is there's a ton of new amazing technology that is going to change our jobs. Examples of how that can change us, well, Microsoft has fired a ton of journalists that they had because now they have a technology that is with AI and natural language processing. Basically, that technology creates texts way faster than a human, and it's undistinguishable. So you don't even know that you're dealing with a text written by a bot. But the thing is, the chatbots of new generation, the new versions of these systems are so good that they can even create an entire script for a movie. And there's very few mistakes. They are creating entire music compositions. They are creating art of all types. And many people are not being able to distinguish it. And sometimes you could even argue that it's even better. So you have machine learning learning how to play games, and they play better than humans. You have that AI is now better at recognizing cancer, for example, than the best radiologists in the world. So we are definitely going to experience a big change, right? And many times we're not ready for that because it's not that technology is going to remove all these jobs and that there's nothing going to be left to do. There's a lot of things that are going to be needed still. But if we don't know that these things are coming, and if we refuse to understand that this is going to have massive effects, then it's going to be a wave that is going to devour us. So again, the headline is, please try to be as aware as you can of these new technologies, what may be the implications that it can have in different sectors, and try to be as knowledgeable and try to even maybe work in those fields. Maybe you're able to embrace these new technologies. If you understand smart contracts, if you know how to mint any piece of intellectual property, you're able to get it into the blockchain, you get it into the metaverse, which is the extended reality, virtual reality environment. And there is an entire economy that is going to flourish there. So if you are fast enough, you may be late for some of the previous technologies, but maybe you are right on time for these new technologies that are coming, that are not right there yet, but they will very, very soon. So if this sounds complicated, well, at least there are things that are not so difficult to grasp. The first one, the skills that we're going to need in order to be useful for the market. A lot of companies are now complaining that they don't find the right talent with the right skills in today's market. Now, the way that is going to evolve is going to be even worse because we're not prepared for it now, but imagine if we're prepared or not for what's coming, because our education systems are not changing, right? And some business schools like EU Business School, I know that they are very much aware and they are helping you and impulsing you in that direction. But it is very important that you acquire as many skills that are practical as possible so you can deal with all these problems and you can deal with these new realities and you can embrace the new technologies and the new opportunities that derive from them. So what are these skills that are definitely going to be useful? Well, there are things that are clear. For example, sales are going to still very important. Communication, branding, marketing, e-commerce, digital skills, coding, all those skills are definitely going to be important. Is the right moment now to start learning a new language? Well, the translation tools are almost perfect already. They're instantaneous and they're almost perfect. You have speech to text, translation, text to speech, and you're talking to someone in whatever language it is. So there's no need for that, right? So I love languages, and I have spent a really long time learning Arabic and Chinese and others. But right now, if you ask me to start or not, I would say try to be as familiar as possible with digital skills and with social skills and everything that allows you to sell and promote yourself and create your own projects. Because one of the most important things of the future of work that we are absolutely certain of is that there's going to be a market of skills, and we are going to have more a market based on micro projects or becoming you as a company, as a consultant. So instead of working for one employer, chances are that you're going to work for several employers. So one of the ways that that's going to work is, for example, if you think about the gig economy or the freelancers, the freelancer platforms like Fiverr.com, Freelancer.com, or Upwork. These are people that are experts in all kinds of fields that can provide a very cheap service, and you don't have to commit to long-term projects. You don't have to pay a lot of the costs associated with onboarding new employees. And funny enough, they are so good at adapting to changes that whenever there's a new thing coming, you have an expert the next day. For example, Clubhouse comes up, or whatever new technology, whatever new coding language, whatever it is, you have someone on Fiverr that is good at it in days. Just the same way, you can have tutorials of how to learn all these skills for free on YouTube the next day that they appear. So this is changing very, very rapidly. Now, why do I mention this? Well, we have seen with COVID, even though I've been doing this for 10 years and people thought that I was crazy, you can definitely work online. And one of the examples is I was doing international relations and people thought that I had to be traveling all the time, and it was not the case, that I had to have offices all over the world. It was not the case. And what people have realized now is that obviously you can have video calls and you can talk on WhatsApp or whatever tool, send emails, and you can have people working all over the world. The CEO of Novartis has said that this idea of remote work allows us to open a new pool of talent that is global, and also allows people to work from whatever they want to go. And we can all become digital nomads and work from whatever we want. And the reason why this is significant is because now you can work for one or several clients as an individual or as a company that you can build all over the world. And you're not even going to be required to physically be there or to even travel there. And that is a massive change and something that we can embrace or we can be devoured by. Also, 4 billion people are going to jump to the internet in the coming years because they're going to finally get access thanks to some of the projects that are working, that on the works right now, from Starlink to others. So we're going to have even more competitors that are even more skilled and that are in definitely a more difficult position than us. So they're definitely going to do more effort. And so we're going to compete against all that, or we can embrace it and we can actually become the connectors of different providers. And one of the things that is important as well is that if you think about yourself as an employee, then you think that you can only work in your field, in your department, in your company. But what happens is that you are actually much more than what you think. And you probably have already executed tasks that are from different applied to different services in different sectors. So instead of thinking of the tasks you have done in one job as this is the job that I can do, think of every task that I have ever done and every task that I know that I can do are the services that I can provide as an individual. And I can have clients all over the world. And I can collaborate with people all over the world as well, have my own network, so we can together provide the best service. So we can help more organizations and we are flexible and we can adapt, knowing that having a big structure is not necessarily going to help you, but having a small structure that is flexible, that allows you to move fast and adapt rapidly to new changes, and you can grow that team in the direction that is going to be more useful for you. So I think I don't have more time.
But you have a couple of questions. If you think that you can answer them quickly, because you have to, then you can do it. If you can't, then we can directly send the answers to our colleagues.
Let's try. So what do you say to older people in poorer countries who have been working in the oil economy, coal mining, and the transportation of coal? So the first thing that I say is that regardless of your situation, it doesn't matter if you're 50-year-old or a girl in India, you are going to need certain skills to adapt to the new market. And we tend to talk about education as these very long process that if you don't spend 5 years going in one direction, you can't do anything. And that's not the case. There's skills that are very practical that you're going to need to embrace. One of them being sales, because if you're able to sell and you're willing to provide service to people, then there's so much more you can do. Of course, it is very difficult for people that are used to one particular industry. But the first thing that we need to do is to tell them that this is not an option. This is not that we choose to have disruption or we choose that, this new situation. This is coming. It's like when you have a war or when you have an economic crisis, the question is, what do you do about it? And what these people need to do, and I think all of us, is learn as much as we can of what the situation is and what can we do in this situation to make money. And in order to make money, we're going to have to definitely create something new. And that means that we need to break our own barriers and our own limitations, thinking that I am this. No, you're not that. You're a human being with a lot of capacity, with contacts, with experience, and that has an incredible brain to learn more things. If you think that you're only what you studied or only what you have done in the past, you're wrong, because in part, a lot of the things that you've been doing in that particular work can be applied to other works, other jobs as well. So that's as short as I can make it, my friend, but I can continue elsewhere if you want. How can these changes be made in countries where indeed the technology is not the best? Okay, so one of the things that we're doing to solve that problem about the digital divide is the following. On the one side, there's much more, many more people with access to the internet than what we think, and a lot of people are going to get access to the internet. But let's say that a lot of people can't afford that in many countries. That's true. So of the people that can't access to the internet because they cannot pay the data, a lot of people actually do have devices, and the number of devices is growing exponentially. And a lot of people in Africa, for example, even in countries that are very, very poor, do have devices, at least some devices. So what we're doing is we're creating an online skills training course that is basically every skill that you can use to grow economically, right? So all the things that I told you, we're preparing a course for that is very comprehensive. And what we're doing is allowing people in those countries to download it so they can move it device to device. Because if they have the content in one device, then they can not only spread it and tell other people, but also they can train trainers, so you can get way farther with that. And lastly, we're making that the most practical textbook ever, right? Because normally textbooks are just like mathematics of whatever course, right? But what we're doing is all those skills, entrepreneurship, all digital skills, all these things, we're making it into the most practical textbook we can. And we're going to print that and give it to as many people as we can and give the digital version to anyone that wants it. So we can train people and make them aware of these changes that are happening. And then robotics and AI increase unemployment. Well, there's new jobs that are going to be created after what we normally talk about, these robots taking over or whatever. The reality is that we are going to definitely be able to find new jobs. Now, some people are talking about universal basic income because we're going to be way more productive, but we may not be in a position where everybody can do something that provides a lot of value, knowing that most of the tasks that we do are repetitive and an AI or any other technology can do better than us. So the first thing is that there's some people that are advocating for universal basic income, and that may be a solution for some people that are not able to adapt faster. Second thing is there's going to be a lot of new jobs that are going to be created. And third, there's a part of our society, a lot of the things that we can do as humans that are incredibly complex, and the ones that are more difficult for robots to do are the ones that we should be pushing with more intensity. So for example, the things that require several sectors, crossing many different factors, connecting people of different cultures. There's a lot of elements that require empathy, that require a level of intelligence that robots don't have, and that it's going to take a very long time for them to get to the level that we have. So if it's just one task, they can do, but if it's trying to make a big decision based on a lot of different factors, taking in consideration a lot of what only humans do, it's going to be difficult for them. Now, in order to adapt to that, I also think that there's going to be a big part of the population that is going to be devoted to what we call the impact economy, which is that, as I told you before, the economy is going to gravitate towards that. Basically, everybody is going to be working on solving problems. It's not going to be you make some money and then you have CSR and you do some impact work. It's going to be like the entire focus of everybody is going to probably be that. You see that in impact investing now, that a lot of investors have decided that they only going to invest on impact projects. And what we see is that the humanitarian space that we now consider to be just one thing for aid and for donations, we can all be working on that, because if there's a lot of tasks that can be done better by technology, but we can care for the elderly, because there's a lot of, this aging of the population, right? We can care of the people that need it, and we can think better of how to leverage the technology to move forward and have a better life, and of course achieve the SDGs and all these things, there's always going to be something to do. There's always going to be problems in the world, and we are going to be the ones that have the capacity of not fighting against technology or competing, but saying, okay, this technology is doing these amazing things. How do we use it so we can solve the other problems that we're still facing? And there's another one, and I'll finish with this. It is essential to specialize in AI, for example, to study a related master's degree. I do not think, and I'm sorry, we're in a business school, I do not think you need a master's in everything that you touch, right? You can definitely do a master's in AI or whatever, but what we need is to understand what's happening, right? And then what I would suggest to all of you is, more than thinking of having a specific level of degrees or specialization, and expecting the market to hire you, what I think you need to do is to be way more proactive and be the one that creates a project, creates a value proposition. You think of what is your purpose? What is the potential that you have? What do you want to accomplish? And when you know more or less where you want to go, of course, financial stability, of course, you want to have well-being and be as happy as possible. Of course, you need to make money, right? And of course, you want to make some impact. So what is the goal? And then we can define the strategy, the path from where we are at to where we want to go. And then with that value proposition, you have to market yourself like crazy. And what happens is that we all need to become brands. We all need to become media, like an entire media outlet to communicate what we do on social media and elsewhere. We all need a network. We all need sales. And if we have this value proposition and we push it hard enough, and we provide value to other organizations that may have the resources to basically take care of our economic needs, then we provide value to them and they help us grow as well. So you need to be proactive. You need to have your project. What is the project that you are going to be the happiest working on, the one that you can provide the most value, and then push that for years. If you wait for 3, 4, 5 years, you're definitely going to be doing very well. If you expect the market to just come and call you and give you the job of your dreams, that's probably not going to happen. And people are going to want to change jobs constantly. Every 2, 3 years, there's going to be change in jobs. That's 30 jobs in your career. But if you create your own project, then you may work for different clients, but you are still growing and you are just continuing to leverage all the network and all the resources of what you have done in the past.
Thank you, Carlos. We have one last question that sadly we don't have time for it. I'm sure that we can, you can then answer it privately. We can send you an email with the question, and then you can, we can deliver to our student. Thank you very much for your talk. Thank you so much for your experience and for sharing it with us. Feel free to stay for the next talk if you want. Please, round of virtual applause to Carlos Sentís. Thank you very, very much. It was fantastic and very inspiring. Now let's introduce Saurabh. He was briefly, you could see him around, Saurabh Uboyewa. He's the founder and managing partner of BOD Consulting. He's an international award-winning strategy consultant. He's a visiting faculty at many leading business schools. He is the founder and managing partner of BOD Consulting, which is a management consulting firm focused on emerging and mid-market enterprises across industries and geographies. He can tell you a little bit more about him and probably how correctly pronounce his name. I'm really sorry about that. I know it's very annoying, but please share your thoughts with us, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ahmed. Greetings to all the students and professors, teachers, and guests at EU Business School. My name is Saurabh Uboyewa. So Ahmed, Uboyewa is the right way, so the J is not exactly silent, but I'm at least glad that you made a good attempt. My greetings to Dr. John Hans, Carlos, great talk today, learned a lot during your session, Ulieta, Linda, my very dear friend Soli, and some of the students whom I may possibly have not interacted with so far. But we have an action-packed session over the next couple of minutes. So I'm going to share my screen now to take you